heck does that mean? I'll get to that in a second. See, because this, like I said, there's nothing wrong with this system. It actually works. However, we didn't even talk about what happens if Bill and Joe start to default. That's what happened 2 years ago. But it wasn't average Joe and Bill who defaulted. It was homeowners and actual banks. When that starts to happen, this whole system begins to break down. And the whole scheme of the fact that banks do not have enough physical money in their vaults to cover their debts came to the forefront. And it came to the forefront in the media quite a lot. However, most people just weren't trained to see what the heck was coming to the forefront. What was coming to the forefront was the fundamental flaw of this system. This system assumes that everybody's going to continue to make their payments. If they don't, the whole system breaks down. But let's not talk about that, because that is a subject of a whole other 3-hour seminar. So let's just say, perfect system, things keep going round and round and round and round, and all of a sudden $100 from you becomes $1,000 out there in circulation. That's what we see when we call this inflation. Look, the money supply just got inflated from $100 to $1,000. That's inflation. Now, the question is, well, so what? What the heck does that mean to me? What's the big deal about inflation? So for that, we're going to take a look here at this chart. How many of you recognize this chart? It's okay if you don't, because not many people do. All right, Danielle, you should. Come on. I'm just kidding.
I was off. I'm sorry.
It's all good. This chart shows, here's 2007, 2009. This is a chart of all of the time frames of mortgages resetting. Okay? I want you to notice this. In 2007 and 2008, there's a bulk of 40 billion in subprime mortgages reset. What that meant was these people had to refinance their homes, but they found that the value of their homes was actually less than the value of their mortgages. So they actually couldn't get refinanced. They couldn't pay off the existing loan. So what happens to people like that? Foreclosure. Okay? So that happened, and that caused a massive global slowdown with about less than 40 billion. Here we are in 2009. Here, what's really cool is in around 2009 and early 2010, how in the media they're saying, oh, recovery! Things are great, we're coming back. But check out what's happened. That's just because there's been a drop in resets. But check out what's happening towards the later part of 2010 and even into 2011. Here it comes. This round of mortgages that are set to reset are called the adjustable rate mortgages, or the Alt-A mortgages. Those are the ones where 5 years ago, people signed onto mortgages and they said, wow, 2% interest, great. But what they weren't told was that at some future date, the interest rates would adjust. And all of a sudden, they're adjusting now, and again, the properties are actually worth less than the mortgage they're paying for. And most people can't afford the increase in monthly payments due to the adjusted interest rates. Massive foreclosures coming. Now, what's been the trend in 2007 and 2008? What has been the trend of not just the US and Canada, but the European Union? What have those governments and central banks been doing? What was that, Jerry?
Bailouts.
Bailouts. What does that mean? What's a bailout? Bailouts mean printing more and more money. More and more money. What does that mean to you? More and more of these things happening. At the level of billions and trillions. So why I share that with you is this. We're not talking about 100 to 1,000. We're not talking in that scale. We're talking in the scale of hundreds of billions and trillions of these paper notes flying around in the world. Okay? So, if that's historically what's happened, what do you think they're going to do here? when this starts to happen, towards the end of 2010 and into 2011, what do you think the trend will be?
Bailouts.
More and more bailouts. You just heard it. The Federal Reserve in the U.S., what was it, last week or a couple days ago? Ben Bernanke came up and said, yeah, we're going to take all of the money that we made off maturing mortgage-backed securities that we bought, and we're going to reinvest it into treasury bonds. I want you to hear this. When a government says they're going to invest in bonds, what I invite you to hear in that is printing more money. Because that's essentially what they're going to do. So if that's happened in the past and it's going to continue again, we're going to have a massive proliferation, and here it comes. We don't see it stopping. So now, we talked about 100 to 1,000 bucks, blah, blah, whatever, that's inflation. Then we talked about inflationary events happening all around the world at the magnitude of billions and trillions. So we worked with very small numbers and then very big numbers, okay? How the heck does that apply to you in your everyday life? So let's imagine we're all stuck in a life raft, okay? And in this life raft, we know we're going to be rescued in about a week. So we're kind of just sitting there trying to survive, but we're hungry, okay? And Dom at one end of the life raft has an orange.
Sweet.
Okay? And Dom, being the entrepreneur that he is, he says, okay, I'll sell this orange because I'm not too hungry. I'll sell this orange for $1. So now all of us are scrambling in our pockets looking for $1 because we all want that orange. So, you know, we got Danielle, we got Andrea, we got Michelle, they're all like, I got $1, I got $1. So right now, what happened was, in that moment, $1 got equated to the value of an orange. So now Dom's having fun here because he's pretty much surveying who's better looking out of the people who have $1, because that's who he's probably going to give the orange to. So he says, yeah, I'm going to give it to Andrea because she actually is a lot better looking than at least Michelle. I'm just kidding, man. You're both beautiful people. Okay, so right before Dom is about to hand the orange over to Andrea, Jerry over here finds a $5 bill in his pocket. And he goes, wait, hang on. I got a $5 bill. Dom, I'll give you this $5 bill for that orange. What do you think Dom's going to do? Sold to Jerry.
Way to go, Jerry.
Thank you very much for the transaction. Okay? Now, here's what I invite you all to just get. Nothing's changed about the orange itself, has it? It's not like during the whole bidding and auctioning, Dom was downloading some software to pump up and upgrade this orange, right? No, the orange is still the orange. The only thing that changed in that event was the amount of money in the life raft that was being used to purchase the orange. That's the only thing that changed. Therefore, what I propose to you is this. It's the increased amount of money being used in an economy without any corresponding increase or upgrading in value of the supply that causes inflation. This is experienced to you and I as a rise of price of the orange and the rise of prices of goods and services that are in demand by us, the consumers. So again, I invite you, every time you hear on the media or in the news or whatever, bailouts, I want you to hear this. The amount of paper dollars is increasing in the world. That means there's a rise of price somewhere happening, okay? But let's go more into detail about this. So again, hey Alex.
Hey.
It's a critical part for you. An orange is worth $1. That's important. You should write that down. I'm just kidding. So, before Jerry pulled out the $5 bill, the value was worth how much? $1. After Jerry pulls out the $5 bill, how much is the orange worth? Nothing's changed about the orange. So how the heck does this equation make sense? Well, to visualize it, let's just say, imagine, instead of a $5 bill, let's say it was 5 loonies now is what's in exchange for the orange. So now, ask yourself, if nothing's changed about the orange, so nothing's changed on this side of the equation, something must have changed on that side of the equation. You with me? Now, what the heck changed in this side of the equation? Here's what changed. Each one of these loonies became 1/5 the value of the pre-sale loonie. Okay? And say that again. Because a lot of times people, in everyday conversation, they quote inflation in terms of the rise of prices. That's only half the story. The whole other half is, yeah, there's a rise in price. Well, that must also mean there's a lowering of the value of the current dollars or yen or euro in the system. So now when you take a look at this, if this is 1/5 the value of that, so 1/5 times 5 is 1, then the equation fits. Make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. Jeff, yeah.
But before you get to even the loonie, wouldn't you say that the orange has no value?
The orange has no value.
Has no value.
You could argue that point.
Until somebody signs or defines that there is a value to it.
That's right. That's why in the lifeboat, for this example, it was assigned with the dollar. But you're
The orange
absolutely
itself-
correct.
The orange itself has no intrinsic value.
That's right. More on that in just a second. Jeff is way ahead. That's a good point, though. That's exactly right. But we'll get to that when we talk about real money and intrinsic value. Okay? But for now, this equation is something that's y'all can get, right? So again, it's the increased amount of money being used, which is what we call in the industry money supply, to buy the same supply that causes the inflation of prices in goods and services that are in demand. Alternatively, from this example, we can also see that as the money supply increases, the value of each individual paper, or in this case, metal piece of money decreases. Okay? This is both sides of the coin when we talk about inflation. Okay? Regularly what's being spoken and educated on in the general public is only half. They only talk about inflation as inflation in prices. No, there's a whole other side of the story. Okay? So, flash this chart back up here. This should start to make a little bit more sense here. Because if historically the money supply has been rising, you can see now how on a global scale the value of the dollar has plunged. Since 1960, the value of the US dollar has plunged. This is an old chart. Right now it's plunged about 98%.